Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Tremble, and this is the Executive Pill Podcast. As you know, this show, along with all of our speaking, consulting, and training services, are laser focused on helping organizations prepare high performing leaders from all backgrounds to successfully transition to and excel in VP and other senior executive level positions. And if you and your organization are serious about developing diverse and highly effective executive leadership teams, then one, you're in the right place. And two, we encourage you to visit us at gpsleadership.org or reach out to us on our email at team@gpsleadership.org because we'd love to discuss with you how we can work together to help you and your organization reach its leadership development and culture elevation goals. Second, the Executive Pill is now one of the top 5% most popular shows in the world. Yes, booyah. I feel like that's like an old cartoon saying like booyah, but we'll figure that out later. And this and this didn't happen by accident. It was you who made it possible, and it will be you who determines the continued success of this show. So please do us a favor. If you find the content shared by our phenomenal guests, do us a favor. Please click the like. Please click to subscribe. Please share this with at least one other person. And do us a favor. As you have comments and questions, please put it in the chat box because all of that interaction helps the algorithm show it to more and more people. And I promise you, if you're getting something from it, someone else is going to get something from it. So each one, teach one. Yeah, we're going to go with that. And finally, I am so excited. I know I've been saying this now for the last few months, but I am still freaking excited that my new book, Relationships That Work, 4 Simple Steps to Building Intentional Connections in Business and in Life, is now available for purchase on Amazon.com. And I'll tell you really quickly, I love this, and where it's been going is because the book started off already top 10 Amazon bestsellers, and since then it has only skyrocketed. And so I love the questions. I love all the comments that are being shown and shared with me via the book. Please, please, please get your copy today. Amazon.com. Relationships That Work: 4 Simple Steps to Building Connections in Business and in Life, so you can reach your professional development goals. And now, with no further ado, can I say, today is a good day. See, today you can't laugh. This is what I do.
I'm not.
Today we have the always amazing and very blissful and very laughable Liz. We're going to create a word. Miss Melissa Richardson. See, Melissa currently serves as the Vice President for Team Success at Kleer. Yes, Kleer, Kleer, because they are cool. They spell it with a K. And as their talent and business part, oh my God, I got to stop messing around. And as their talent and HR
See,
business
Alex, you're
partner,
making me laugh.
because you're so much fun.
Thank
See,
you.
everyone, this is not scripted. See, as their talent and HR business partner, she brings a proactive, results-driven approach to the table. She has an innate passion for building highly effective teams and is very passionate of just being a servant leader. And I think she would actually be the very definition of a servant leader, which I promise you we're going to start this conversation off with. She believes wholeheartedly in empowering people with the right tools and resources needed to drive growth in an organization, strategy, talent, branding, aficionado. She is a performance coach, and then sometimes she is an in-house therapist, which we will definitely talk about. This woman is just a Jackie of all trades. So can I just say, how are you doing today, madam?
I'm doing great. And thank you so much for having me, Alex. I'm really excited to talk with everyone today. And congratulations on the book. That is amazing. I'll definitely be purchasing a copy after we get off today.
I thank you so much for the congratulations. Really quickly on that note, like I was telling someone, it's almost like I was giving a class the other day, a course the other day, and we were talking about feedback, and we're like, I was like, who loves feedback? And there's a few people raised their hands, and I'm like, yeah, you are liars. Because no one loves feedback. You can appreciate feedback, but feedback is can be difficult. It could be put you on the defensive. So you can appreciate it. I'm not sure how many people love it. So to the book part, writing is not fun. Writing is not fun at all, actually. But I always loved having written because the experience of writing and getting your ideas, it requires you to slow down and really think through what you're saying in order to convey an idea. I don't think we always do that. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely would agree. It's interesting that you say that because writing is not fun either for me, but I love it at the same time. And so every time that we need to put together a post or a new job ad, which I like to put a very creative spin on it, make sure that it actually expresses who we are as a culture. It has a
Mhm.
voice coming through. So I agonize over how something is going to be written, how it's going to sound, and I will just kind of start writing. I'll have someone alongside of me and I'll say all the time, just bear with me. I'm going to continue to delete and write. But then once it all comes together, I'm like, yeah, that's good.
It's yeah, that's good. You're again to everyone. This is why she's so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So you had me thinking already as I was thinking about what to just start off with, and you started talking about working with other people and partnering with them, and you remind me of a servant leader. And so
Mhm.
before this show, I wanted to make sure I did my homework, so I went and looked up servant leadership in the dictionary. And as we would all assume, which makes sense, right next to servant leadership, it says Melissa Richardson. So that is a great definition. However, could you do me a favor, or no, not me, everyone else a favor? And what is servant leadership aside from you?
Yeah. And so to me, it's very much leading with your heart,
Mhm.
and making sure to really understand the whole person and not treat any two people the same. Understand what they need, what makes them tick, and then how to really harness that to kind of drive performance, drive excellence. I am someone who very much works alongside anyone who is reporting to me or isn't even reporting to me, is just a peer or needs guidance. I will roll up my sleeves. I will get my hands dirty to teach them, to help them along, to figure something out. It's just, it's being in it with your people and
Mhm.
truly caring about them and their success as much as the organization's success as a whole.
You know, okay, so great definition. Okay, now we're gonna play hardball. I'm just joking.
Okay.
I was out with one of my clients, one of my coaching clients, and he's the executive over a large organization. And I was telling him about a conversation I had with another one of my clients.
Mm,
Um, and the conversation was about how this person was going through some really difficult times at work, and they were doing everything they could do to just keep their team afloat, like keep everyone moving in the right direction. And they shared with me that, like, "Look, Alex, it's crazy because um, I've been so focused on them. I feel like the only person who actually focuses on me is you. Like, no one ever asked how I'm doing, and you're the only one who asked." And then I was having this conversation with my other client, and he said, "Alex, I'll tell you, there are months before we started meeting. There are months I would go where only maybe once a month someone would actually say, 'How are you doing?' And not like 'How are you doing?' like the just passing by type of way. Like seriously caring about like me as a person." So I want to ask you the question about servant leadership. How does servant leadership um, also mean that you are a doormat? Does
mm.
it mean that you're a doormat? Like, how do you be a servant leader, but and make sure that you feel like someone appreciated as well? How do you do that? Can you do that?
I think you definitely can. I think it's a learned skill, though. And I'll give you a little bit of a story here. But in my last company, something had happened with one of my children. And so I'm going, and I want to be at the top of my game, and I want to continue to excel and prove, that I've earned my seat at the table. And then, life kind of smacks you in the face. And I very much wanted to
Mhm.
keep my personal life separate from my work life. And that's on me, right? I didn't want to let people know what was going on with my family because I thought I could handle it all, and expressing that would show a sign of weakness. And I was looked
Mm,
at as like a woman in leadership.
yeah.
And so when I would come home, that's when I would kind of sit in my feelings, and I very much felt like I was sitting in it alone. And again, I did that to myself. But working at Kleer, working alongside the leadership team that I do now, um, I started having these one-on-ones with everyone on the leadership team very early on, just as a way for them to get to know me as a person and really just kind of
Mhm.
try to understand who they were. And through those conversations, I would always carve out time, especially in the beginning of the conversation, and sometimes it would end up taking the entire meeting, where I would start to ask them, how are you? How are things
Mhm.
going? And
Mhm.
giving them a very safe space to be able to talk to me about anything that they wanted to talk to me about. But as that started to happen and they would share, I started to feel comfortable to share
Mm.
similar life experiences.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was I started to realize that I wasn't being judged. I wasn't being looked at as someone who was ineffective or
Yeah.
weak, as I thought. They saw me as a real person, and it allowed them to feel more comfortable with being open and sharing things with me that they couldn't share with their teams. Um, and so I started to feel more comfortable about opening up about, sometimes what I need. And now when these leaders come in and we have our one-on-ones, at the end, oftentimes the leaders will say, how are you doing? Is everything going okay with you? Is there
Yeah.
anything I could do to help you? Because I know you have a lot on your plate, without me even having to ask. So again, it's just, I think we have to grow into it. And I think we have to allow ourselves the ability to know that it's okay to be human and be
Mm.
really good at your job too.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. And I love how you, like you said, you went through the process of, again, almost like that servant leadership part. Like you were asking someone else how they were doing, and ultimately that allowed you to feel safer, allowed you to be more comfortable sharing your own. So I love that you shared that tactic, that story. And if I can just, for everyone else listening, um, I just want to put this out on the table. Uh, you don't know how someone's doing.
Mhm.
Um, and if you assume that everything in their life is gravy, um, you being the person who asks how are you doing, hey, let's go grab a coffee. You don't know how you could be impacting that person's life for the positive. And so I always try to remind people, one, don't believe social media, right? Because if you look at social media, everyone is living their best life, and so no one needs encouragement, and that is the absolute false.
Mhm.
And the other is, again, just I always found, I talk about this in the book, Relationships at Work. One of the reasons I've been able to build so many relationships is just because I care about people. And you got to remember, these executive leaders, um, they're people. Like you can't think that, oh, because they're executive, they're so high achieving, they look like they're perfect. No one is perfect. Everyone's going through something. So it, to that point, I want to share a story that me and Melissa were talking about. Um, I am a new father, and yay, the little guy is so cute. He is
He
so
really
cute,
is.
but he's an a-hole. Like I can say this because I'm his father. So he is, as of the recording of this interview, he's 2.5 months, almost 3 months. And like now he's smiling and he's laughing and he's like engaging and looking at people. And I've always just seen myself as this guy who's going to be a great father. Even as I was growing up, I just knew I was going to be a great father. And so I'm ready for this, right? And then, and the guy won't even look at me. Like, Like he loves his mother. Like man, like when she's come around, like he's nothing but smiles and like yeah, good. But when I come around, he will do everything he can to move his eyes in a different way. So I share that to say like, you know, yes, I know he's a child. I got to work through this. But it's more so like it's crazy that again being self-aware, I'm like, dude, I for a second, I'm like, I don't feel appreciated. You know, like I'm changing this guy's diaper, I'm feeding him, I'm working hard to bring him money to make sure he has clothes, and I don't feel appreciated. And it was crazy how, again, it's a child. I get this, but it was like how easily those feelings can creep into you,
Mhm.
just because that appreciation piece, you know.
Oh, I definitely understand. And I've been there with my children. I've been there at work, always being that person that is there for everyone else. Um, but I will say that the moment you get that first, I love you, daddy, or that hug, or that moment that somebody you met through the screening process, for a job interview that you didn't know from Adam the day before, comes into your office because they came on board and they crushed it and now they're getting a big promotion, and you were part of the journey and you're the person that they wanted to thank for getting them there and helping them along the way. Like for me at least, that makes everything worth it.
Yeah,
So it's tough in the moment
yeah.
sometimes. I think we're
Mhm.
all human, right? We all feel that. We all feel underappreciated. Um, but when you have those moments where like you they know that you are the star in their life, it erases everything else. And then
Well,
you'll go back to feeling unappreciated again. But
look, I told my wife yesterday, I'm like, look, he was born in July, so he only got so many more months until his birthday. So he better change the script pretty fast if he wants something. And I have a long memory. So you know, one thing I wanted to run a thought by you. So, I've interviewed people who were COOs who became the CEO. I've interviewed people who were, assistant secretaries who became the secretary or the director of an agency. And they always talked about how even though they were literally one step away from being the person in charge, when they got into that position, it was still like a big wow, right? Like an unexpected amount of something. Um,
Mhm.
for you, what was the most like what was the thing that you were maybe wasn't expecting when you moved into that next level, that VP position? Like, and I know again you had a lot of experience, but was there something that you just man I didn't expect it would be like this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I built my career in talent acquisition. And so I got to be the person who went out, built all these relationships with people, learned about them, what makes them tick, was able to kind of match them with the right culture. I did all the recruitment branding. Like I loved that part of my job. And then I slowly started to move into people management. And then I got into the director role. And then you layer in human resources. And then you get into the VP level. And you very quickly learn that you have to be able to find balance between wanting to do right by the people in your organization and leading with your heart, which is
Mhm.
I always lead with my heart.
Yeah.
That's like my go-to. But then there's also this, I also have to understand what the business needs and making sure that I do right by the business.
Mhm,
And how do
mhm.
I continue to support the business and scale the business
Yeah,
by also doing right by the people who are the backbone of your culture that are, working so hard
yeah.
for the business to be able to achieve those goals. And it is tough some days. I just
I
opened up a can of worms, I know.
no, I mean, I would say a can of let's say cheese popcorn, because I love
Okay.
cheese
I
popcorn.
love cheese popcorn.
So, that gets into a topic that I love talking and training about, which is right versus right. Um, the whole idea is that, as we like to say, like, decision making is easy. Well, I don't know who says that actually, because this decision making not easy. But it is much easier to make a decision between a wrong answer and a right answer. When something is wrong and something is right, it's easier. Okay, go with the right.
Mhm.
But when something is right and the other is right, and they're both going to harm someone, now it gets that much more difficult. When I talk to leaders about this, it's like, okay, maybe is the right thing to do is to do a reduction in force because of the organization needs some funding and need to retool, so you can save an entire department, which means some people are going to be gone. Or is it the right thing to do to say, no, we're not going to do that, because we're going to care about each and every one person, but ultimately that may cause everyone to be reduced, right? Those are both right decisions. It's right to think about the long term. It's right to think about the short term. It's right to think about loyalty. It's also right to think about justice. What was wrong? What did you do wrong? It's like, how do you how do you think through those right versus right decisions?
When it comes to the business itself, um, we think about the business and take the players kind of off the team. What does the business need organizationally,
Mhm.
structurally, resource wise to achieve X? And then you start talking about the people that you have to best support that. Are there gaps? Are
Mm,
there skills gaps? Um, are there individuals that we can potentially promote into roles before we hire from the outside? Are there individuals who are lacking in skill, but we have training and development that we can offer to best support them so that they can achieve those goals? Or are there individuals who are not a fit for X, Y, and Z reason? And that's when it gets tough, right? Because you want to do right by people, and you want to make sure that everybody succeeds. What I found in my career is having courageous conversations with
mm,
people.
mhm.
And when people, even if it hurts to
Yeah.
hear honesty and transparency about the why,
Mhm,
people will respect that and they will respect you.
mhm,
And then when you are upfront with, this is the why this is happening, but this is how I can best support you during this transition, and trying
mhm,
to be there for them, whether it's opening up doors, helping them with networking,
mhm.
resume writing. I had someone who left the organization who hadn't written a resume in years and who said, I don't even know where to start. And I said, that's okay. I'll write it with you. Right. And they were
Mm.
exiting.
Yeah.
But I do think that just not trying to hide, not trying to craft a narrative that is untrue, and
Yeah.
having, as I said, those courageous conversations and being upfront and honest. I think people will remember that. They will respect that,
Mhm.
and people do. They understand that you do have a business to run
Yeah.
as well while trying to do the right thing.
I I I I really appreciate what you just shared on so many different levels. Um, so you make me think of an additive comment. You talk about those courageous conversations. Actually, sorry everyone, I'm gonna take a real quick step to the side. I love what you talked about even helping the person with their resume, right? Um, and let me say this side, because I work with a number of organizations that sometimes when they lay people off, especially senior leaders, they'll hire us for doing coaching for them, right? Help them transition to their next life, which is really thoughtful. And it gets to the same point you're making, which is um, you got to ask, right? I mean, you wouldn't go to every single person and say, "Hey, let me help you with your resume." Like everyone doesn't need help with a resume. The only way to know how you can provide value is like what you just said. Ask the question. You have to have the conversation, and then I also in addition to the courageous conversations, I always recommend, lead from a compassionate standpoint. When you're making a decision, don't make a decision. Do your best to never make a decision out of fear or anger. Though I think those two emotions immediately shut down your creativity and you become defensive. So you're not trying to make the best decision for that person or for the organization. You're generally trying to make the best decision so you can protect yourself, right? If you're operating from fear or anger. And so if you think about it from a compassionate standpoint, oh my God, we're going through this. This is a human being who's going through this. Okay, yes, these are the realities. How can I help this person? Right. And if you start asking the question and having the conversation with them, I think you come up with a lot of really cool, innovative ways to help people transition through whatever it may be, whether it's just,
Right.
a project's not being funded or it's going to ramp up or ramp down, like just coming at from compassionate,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% agree. And I always tell people that the reason I do what I do still is because I care. I genuinely care. And the
Mhm.
moment that I walk into a room and I sit down with someone and I have a conversation and I feel cold or I don't care is the moment I know that I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Mm. I, so I want for everyone, I want to make sure you underscore this because I want to make sure very, very clear. You have created a stipulation on yourself in advance, right? I love it because now you have a guiding star
Mhm.
versus going through life and maybe one day I won't do this or maybe yeah, like what your values are, hey, if this ever happens, it's time for me to pull that ripcord because I'm not in a good space or this is not the space I feel like I need to be in. I love how intentional you are with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will never love me or hate me, and that's okay. But I'm not going to compromise who I am. I'm not going to compromise my values because I have to be able to look my children in the face
Mm,
every day. That's truly my guiding star.
yeah,
And know that I've done anything I can to excel at my profession
yeah.
while also staying true to who I am and being as best of a person as I can be along the way. And again, the second that I feel like I've compromised that, I'm either not in the right role anymore or I'm not with the right organization.
And I'm assuming that you wouldn't circumvent that by just putting a Halloween mask on your kid because you said, look them in the face. I'm assuming you wouldn't do it. Okay, so
No, no, I wouldn't. And let me tell you, my girls, they would call me on it in a second. So they will definitely put me in my place.
oh my, okay, so look, okay, this is not where I wanted to go, but I'm gonna go there really, really quickly.
Okay.
Um, what role does our family have in calling us out? Hey, look, work is work and family's family. You stay out of this. You stay out of this. Like, what role do you think family has in keeping us honest with who we say we want to be?
Um, I mean, I think that they have a huge role because they they know who you are. They know who you are when the makeup's off, when you're at home and you've had a really bad day, and they're the ones that they save the tears. They're the first people that you call when you've had a big win and you just want to talk about like, I landed that presentation. They're the ones that you
Mhm.
want to celebrate with. They know what your values are. And I think that my family, especially, will call me out and they will tell me that was a little bit too much, Melissa. Or, or it's okay. You don't have to feel bad that you said what you said because you did the right thing. And I also know that if ever I'm doubting myself, they're the one, and I doubt myself a lot. I have very bad imposter syndrome still to this day, but they'll build me up and they'll remind me of all the things that I've accomplished to get to this point. Or um, they're the people who will when I'm having a bad day, my kids will have a dance party in the middle of the kitchen, and
Love it.
it snap me out of it, and bring me, ground me, bring me back to life. I don't know, they're everything. They're like my reason, my why. And they're also the why I work so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to show I have something to prove to myself, but I really want to prove to my daughters that you can be a great mom while also being like at the top of your game
Yeah.
in the business world too.
You know, two things. One, I am 100% in alignment with you, and I benefit personally from my wife so much.
Mm.
My son, I mean, he's only 2 months, so he can't yell at me too much so far. Well, he can yell at me, but I can just close the door. He can't follow me. Um, my wife, though, like, she calls me out every once in a while, like literally, like someone will offer me an opportunity, and she's like, Alex, is that in line with what you say you want me focusing on this year?
Mhm.
No. Why are you doing it? Oh, okay. Like,
Mhm.
and I love that we've created this space in our household that she can do that. Like, she calls me out on those things, and I really appreciate it because I'm and I'm an idea guy, right? Like, someone throws a good idea by me, I'm like, yes, let's do it, and we can do it really well. And what I've learned also is, as I've gotten to the levels I've gotten to, you can't say yes to everything. You gotta say no. And
Yeah.
so I love that I have my wife that does it. And two, I want to talk about this really briefly. Um, Imposter syndrome. And you've mentioned that you have it. And I would venture to say um, the vast majority of people have imposter syndrome. And I would say even a larger percentage of high achievers have imposter syndrome. Um, and because I do too, right? But I want to call out that um, I think we can get better at managing it. I think we definitely can get better at it. Maybe in having the right people around you to help you through those situations.
Yeah.
But what's more important is to look back and see your success and say, okay, even though I do have imposter syndrome, I'm a badass. I've done this and I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. And that is evidence that even moving forward, you're going to even do even more stuff. So for everyone listening, for you, and everyone listening, if you ever feel that way, 'cause again, I promise you, I talk to COOs and CEOs and and they all feel the same way, but they've still achieved greatness, which means that that's how cool you are, that you've had these feelings and you push through it to do what's great for you and those around you and your family.
And Alex, I will say too that if you can't do it for yourself, find your person. My
Mm,
husband, for me, he's that person. He is the eternal optimist. He's the big idea guy. He
yeah.
believes in me more than I believe in myself most days. And he's the person who will put me in check and say, you are a badass. And I need that sometimes. And without that, I don't know if, I'd be where I am. But yeah, so if you can't do it for yourself, definitely find that person who is that rock for you.
Oh man. Okay, look, okay. One more question, and I know we have to wrap up. You talked about training, you talked about developing staffing and
Mhm.
gaps. Um, what do you all do to develop your senior leaders and high potentials? What do you do to develop them for those next senior and executive level positions?
Yes. So we offer a vast free training program. So we have about 5,000 online courses that are available in everything from leadership development and various skills training to better communication or presentation skills. We layer that in with continuous training provided by our leadership team. We're actually going to be rolling out next year, so our team doesn't even know this. But there's going to be offsite training where we're going to be able to send individuals who are interested in leadership or who are emerging into leadership positions to go and hear from other leadership trainers for more skills development. We do these in-office days where we have once a month, we'll do a company-wide training. And it can be around many different topics, but one of the things that we've rolled out is something called the Solve the Business Challenge, where we will start in the morning and present a challenge that we're facing, whether it's with our customers or a current process that we have, or a system or tool that we're using, whatever it is that we're having trouble working through, we'll present it to the entire company. And then we do breakout sessions throughout
That's
the day
cool.
and work through it together and hear ideas from people who are outside of just, sales. You're hearing from
Yeah.
people in product, or you're hearing from, people in customer success, so that we can kind of go back and refine or rebuild processes. So there's a lot of collaboration that goes on. And then, of course, there's constant one-on-ones between managers who are having one-on-ones together, and direct reports. So we do a lot in terms of trying to invest in our team and their growth. And just in the past year, we've had 13 internal promotions. So we always try to look within before bringing in individuals into higher positions from the outside.
2 points really quickly, everyone. That's so freaking cool. And that is extremely smart. Because we all know that it is, one, from a dollar standpoint, it's much easier and much more cost effective to retain great talent versus always trying to bring someone in. But then you also know they already they fit with the culture, right? Like there's so many great reasons for why to develop internal staff versus kicking the can down the road and say, okay, we got to find someone externally. Like it's just, I love what you're doing. I know that you and I were talking. I know you're supposed to be jumping on a call with Zuckerberg and Elon Musk to kind of to coach them through their business. So I got it. So is there anything you'd like to share with our audience as we begin to wrap up?
I think I just want to reiterate the fact that you can do anything that you set your mind to. Just love what you do, and then figure out any way that you can to kind of harness that passion. Because if you love what you do, then others are going to be attracted to that passion. They're going to get excited. They're going to want to work alongside you. They're drawn to that. So love what you do, stay true to who you are, and you'll find success.
Yeah. There's no other better way to end this session. Thank you, madam.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex. This has been so much fun. I really have loved talking with you, and just appreciate you having me today.
Look, I admittedly have like one of the best jobs. Like, just,
Yes.
I'll, I'll very briefly say this. I was talking to someone yesterday about this. My wife asked me this question a while back. If you were to win the lottery, what would you do? Like, if you win the lottery, you never have to worry about money again. What would you do? I was like, oh, simple. I coach. I love coaching executives. I would speak because I love being on the stage and engaging a crowd. And I would interview people because I love engaging in meaningful conversations with people. And those are 3 things I get to do on a daily basis. And so I am blessed. Um, Last thing I'm gonna really quickly say is that I've worked with a lot of people who believe that in order to be quote unquote successful, you have to be in a job that you don't want to be in. You have to be the leader over X. You have to have this many staff working for you, and so on and so forth. You can have a very, very, very great and happy career in life, being an individual contributor. There's always ways to provide value, and to do it in a way where you don't hate what you do every day. I'm actually, because
Absolutely.
this is your episode, so do you have any thoughts on that before we wrap up?
That's exactly what I was, trying to drive home. It's just, I think you can absolutely add value to an organization in any position that you're in, when you truly love what you're doing, you believe in what the company is doing, there's alignment between the company values and your own values. You don't feel like you're sacrificing yourself or your family to be successful. And success doesn't have one definition. Everybody can have their own version of success, and everybody can have a bad day and you can still be successful. And so I definitely agree with what you were saying, for sure.
Look, everyone, you know where we're going with this. If you found one itsy bitsy bitty itty bitty tiny piece of value from this episode, which if you only found an itsy bitsy tiny piece, you need to, again, listen to this again because your ears were evidently not working. Or, sorry, you weren't reading the subtitles, because you can also be able to read the subtitles, get the juiciness from this episode. If you found anything of value, look, don't just keep it to yourself. Don't say that person over there should have been here. They could have been here. They would have been here if they would have done something different. Don't do that. Bring them to the table. Don't just look back, reach back. Bring someone else to the table to make sure they are having the opportunity to grow and be inspired by these stories that Melissa shared today. And then more importantly, don't just bring them to the table, bring the content to them. Click the like, click the share, subscribe, comment, share your thoughts. I promise you all of this, if you found anything of value, I promise you someone else is going to find value as well. So please support, and also be sure to get your copy of Relationships That Work. I promise you, if you're someone who wants to be a leader, you need to understand how to have relationships. If you want to be an individual contributor, you need to understand how to have relationships. If you want to do anything in this world, unless you are in a cave or box by yourself, you're going to have relationships with other people. So this is a book that you should definitely check out, Relationships That Work. As always, I encourage you to stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Executive Appeal with Alex Tremble. I invite you to follow The Executive Appeal wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow me, your host, Alex Tremble, across all socials or via email for exclusive webinars, courses, and speaking engagements on continued topics of executive leadership. So until next time, stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving.